Well, in this chapter, we find out where Chopper, Nami, and Usopp were being taken off to, and we also see, in a way, what happened to Sanji.
One Piece, Chapter 451, Perona's Wonder Garden.
Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, and I'm here to bring you another review on the awesome and excellent, and insert adjective here, Tale of One Piece. Anyway, this is absolutely absurd. It's fun. It's absurd in a good way. This thriller bark is just it's about as silly as me having a musical number for an intro, you know. And that's what I like about it. I actually like it's really interesting. It's really different. It's a departure from what the seriousness, the serious tone that was all throughout, obviously, Water 7, Enies Lobby, and post Enies Lobby. I think it's nice, a lot of fun. So, without further ado, we'll get right into it over here. Our last chapter, of course, saw us with the night hunt beginning, and really, we wind up seeing Nami, Chopper, and Usopp had gotten knocked out by this Ryuna, the samurai, right? That apparently has some connection to Brook. You know, we don't know exactly what yet, but they're knocked out and out. You know, and we know that Luffy and his group are over wandering through the mansion and trying to find them, minus Sanji, because he disappeared as per usual, with the help of the pig that they took off of the wall, the wall-mounted pig. So that's how things left off. Things actually wind up picking up over here. We had seen in the last chapter Absalom going and raising up some of his zombie generals, you know, to go and attack the Straw Hats, and some of them were very cool looking. At the beginning of this chapter, it picks up exactly right where it left off in the last one, and we wind up seeing this warthog type zombie. It reminds me of like Pumbaa from The Lion King. This big, sort of jacked up, like, female warthog named Lola that wants to marry Absalom, right? And she's just all up on his shit. She's like, oh, Absalom, oh boy, you know? And she gets him to try to sign a marriage proposal or put his thumbprint on it or whatever. And he's like, no, listen, first of all, I'm a human, okay? I want to be with another human. I don't want to be with you. You're a zombie and you're a warthog, so, you know, you get rotting flesh and this and that, you know? So then he goes and he says, you know, besides, there's a woman from the, and pulls out her, you know, her wanted poster. There's a woman from the Straw Hats crew that's going to be my bride, right? And he shows the picture of Nami. And honestly, now that I see this guy Absalom, you know, and I know everybody referred to him, all his minions referred to him as Absalom the pervert and everything else, now I'm a little bit less, and by a little bit I mean a lot less comfortable with the scenes where he was invisible and he was trying to grope or lick or whatever Robin, and then when he pinned Nami up against the shower, that's about as close to rape as you're going to wind up getting. You know, at least in something like this that is traditionally very lighthearted, and especially in this arc that's very lighthearted. You know, I think back on it now, and it kind of bothers me, you know, thinking about how he tried to, like, pin her up against the wall and everything else, and obviously she was butt naked, so he was not only copping a cheap peek, but probably a feel as well, and not super comfortable with that. Luckily, though, it was just something very brief. It passed. Hopefully we don't have those type of instances or occurrences further on in here, and it just was, you know, something that maybe was a poor choice by the way it was depicted and drawn and kind of written, you know. So anyway, just my personal opinion on it. But nonetheless, though, so we see the goofy, you know, and again, this is what makes me kind of smile about this arc, you know, the goofy stuff like this warthog, pig, whatever. So then she's like, okay, you don't want to marry me, I'm gonna go off and find this chick, you know, and capture or kill her or whatever, you know. And then we go and we see in the main portion of the chapter, we see a real quick couple of page spread, I guess you would say, with the ghost princess Perona, and she's instructing one of her minions to bring a coffin to somewhere to the master, right? Bring it here, blah blah, to the master, and it's this like big weird looking. Again, like most of the creatures in here, just kind of strange, and it's an oddity for sure. It's like some shit out of like the Twilight Zone, like the Twilight Zone meets like Toy Story meets like Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas, you know. And I know some people have said that's where some of the inspiration came from, blah blah. You can definitely see it. It's shining right through, you know. So very cool stuff though. But after we see that quick thing, the almost the entirety of the rest of the chapter takes place. You see these two like squirrels or what have you, and they're carrying this coffin, carting this coffin somewhere outside, and all of a sudden they wind up kind of dropping it, and Chopper, and I don't know if it pops open or Chopper busts out, but it's the coffin that they obviously put Chopper and Nami and Usopp in, and Chopper goes and busts these squirrels in the head, gets them to chases them off or whatever.
wakes up, you know, Nami and Usopp and says, what the hell? And they're trying to figure out where they're at. They look up, they see Dr. Hogback's mansion, but they're now at the back of it, right? Nami winds up going over to this railing and looking over, and this area that looks like this kind of forest almost is this giant bridge that bridges the Dr. Hogback's mansion, and then if you can imagine an even bigger building behind it that they didn't even see before because obviously it was hiding in the shadow of the big, you know, Dr. Hogback's mansion. And this area that we're in, even though it's like this kind of bridge that bridges one building to the next, and obviously they were being transported from one area to the next, they wind up, you know, Nami's like, it looks like a forest, like a garden or whatever, right? So anyway, then all of a sudden, these 3 penguins appear. You know, they're talking a little bit amongst themselves about what they're going to do, where they're going to go. Should we go forward? Should we go back? The samurai's back, but maybe there's somebody else forward that's even scarier. What's going on? What's going on? We see a quick check-in with Luffy and company, and not a whole lot from them. We just find out that now Zoro's missing. And Sanji to go missing is pretty common. Zoro to go missing in any type of situation where you have to go and have him follow along. Like, we're in the anime in Eni's lobby right now, and they just got through the courthouse and everything. And Zoro, I mean, was like wandering off in different directions when he was like in view of his teammates. So we know that he's directionally challenged. It's one of the running gags in One Piece. It's great. It's very funny because sometimes it's just so absurd how he can get lost, you know, because he's not even by himself half the time, you know. But, so he winds up disappearing, and that's really the only little snippet that we see of them. But back outside to the, you know, to the Scaredy Cat Trio, I guess you would say, the Usopp, the Chopper, the Nami, all of a sudden they turn around, and there's these 3 little, like, cute kind of zombified dancing penguins. Cute in the sense of something, again, that you would find out of, like, you know, like a Nightmare Before Christmas, like, had sex with Toy Story, and that's what came out, right? And that's exactly what it's like. And they're like, oh, we're the so-and-so penguin duo. And they're like, wait, trio. No, sorry, he's new, you know. And they wind up, you know, so they go and they introduce and they say, and behind you is the so-and-so zombie, whatever, of Perona's garden, right? So we find out that this area that they're actually in is obviously Princess Perona, Ghost Princess Perona's garden. Here we go. And we find out, I actually wanted to show the picture of these, because Oda took great care in drawing some really fun, really kind of goofy looking, here we go. Double page spread. Welcome to Mistress Perona's Wonder Garden. And I really just like the attention to detail in even just the little minute characters. These are pretty much going to be throwaway characters, I'm sure, that we might see here and there for a couple of chapters in passing. And just such great care, you know, went into the design on them, you know, right down to the stitching and the numbers that are on some of them. Very, very cool stuff. And just, man, the absolute wondrous imagination that it must take and the mind to sit down and sketch out and come up with some of these ideas. Really cool stuff. Anyway, as they're going to kind of take everybody out, they're going to capture them now, right? And Usopp goes to, you know, Chopper tells him to fire one of his fire stars. They're zombies, right? And he winds up getting taken out. Chopper gets jacked up by this, you know, one of these creatures that has like a ball and chain on it, like a mace on its hand that comes out from its hand. He's taken out. Right as one of them's going to take out Nami, all of a sudden you see something come in there and go and take it out, break its sword, everything else. You're like, what the hell? And we get, and this is one I thought was actually pretty cool, right? We get this, stop! What the hell is going on? I'm thinking somebody came to save the day, right? And then we get this little penguin, the one that just joined, that's part of the trio. I will never kick a woman, even if it kills me. And I'm looking at him and I'm like, okay. And then we get, you know, Nami's even like, huh? If you got a problem with that, then fight me. And you look and it doesn't really look like Sanji at all. But it is. It must be. Somehow or another, they must have put Sanji's spirit, his soul, his essence, whatever. They must have captured his ass and put him into this little penguin thing. Because everybody's kind of looking like, huh? You know, and it took me, I did a little double check real quick, and I was like, what the hell is going on, you know? So, and then actually, you know, to tell you the truth, I completely forgot when I told the whole thing about the little snippet with Luffy and company about Zoro's gone. That was the last page of the chapter. So, very cool stuff, though. I really enjoyed it. And honestly, I don't know if it was something that was too obvious or it was supposed to be subtle or whatever the case is. But, you know, with the whole I will never kick a woman, I just knew. And then Sanji's disappeared, right? So, my chapter question, though, because that winds up wrapping things up over here. My chapter question for you, brothers and sisters, is what are your thoughts on the character designs that Oda has come up with so far? I know I talked a bit about it and, you know, want to spend a little time, I guess, kind of, you know, focused on that. And me, personally, I think some of the designs are really good. In some of the areas like Water 7 and Skypiea and everything else, yes, the background characters, you know, they were cool and everything like that, but I think it's just because this is such a freakishly nightmarish type island, you know. everything to me just has much more life to it and just has more pop and more depth, you know? And even characters, again, that are like throwaway characters that you're never going to see again or probably never going to see again, they just look to me to have more life to them. And it's kind of funny because everything's supposed to be dead. They're supposed to be risen from the dead, you know, zombie-like characters, right? Frankenstein, whatever. But to me, they have a ton of life and a ton of pop, and they just really, really have kind of their own cool essence and feel to them. So let me know what your thoughts are on that, though, what your thoughts are on the background characters, the inhabitants of Thriller Bark, if you will. You know, and leave your answer to that question in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We look forward to catching all of you in the next Fun Nation. Remember to check out my other channels, follow me on Twitter and Facebook, and as always, thanks for watching.